Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk. Once again, we are here in Phat Collectibles in Anaheim, and today we've got some really cool stuff to talk about. We have 2 reviews, we have some Star Wars news, and of course we got some really interesting movie news heading up for you. So let's start off with Ryan and Tony with their review of Divergent.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. Now, Tony and myself saw Divergent last night, and we probably got the last 2 seats that weren't occupied by 13-year-old girls. Tony, what were your thoughts on it before I share mine?
This movie had a lot of potential, I think.
Yeah.
I have some friends that have read the book, and from what they told me from the synopsis, I thought it sounded really interesting. I got the Hunger Games vibe, obviously, and that's what everyone's saying about this movie, and there's definitely Hunger Games vibes about it. But in the end, I was disappointed. I just walked out of that movie, like you said, the bad taste in our mouth. It was just hokey at times, really weird dialogue choices. Acting choices were pretty good, but the casting choices, we'll talk about those in a bit, were a little weird.
I agree with you completely. I think the film did enough to not be like the Hunger Games or Twilight.
Totally.
I think it stood out on its own, and it had a great concept.
Visually, much
But
better.
there were weird choices that were made. If you look at the music, you had all-star artists out there like Ellie Goldstein, Snow Patrol, and M83, and at no point did the song make sense with the scene that you were watching.
I looked down at you from my seat and I was like, this doesn't work.
No, it doesn't. And nothing in there worked except for the one scene with the M83 song
that was good.
where she's soaring through the skies of Chicago, and that's not a spoiler, hopefully. And that was the one spot that it worked. Other than that, you were just waiting the whole time.
Totally agree. Speaking of her, Shailene Woodley in the movie, I thought she was okay. I've seen her work in the past. In fact, the biggest casting choice that bothered me throughout the movie was her and Miles Teller. We're both in a movie called The Spectacular Now last year, and why they chose both of these 2 young actors to be in this movie was beyond me. The whole time I was just picturing those characters from that movie in this movie, and it just didn't work. And I felt like they felt it too, like their connection was just there still, and it felt really weird. But as far as the story goes, I talked to a lot of friends recently that read the book. Compared to the movie, they left a lot of stuff that was important out of the book, which is obvious happens, but they just put in stupid things.
Yeah.
And being full of the theater with 13-year-olds, there was a lot of giggling going on. That's all we're going to
There was a lot of giggling. I found myself laughing
Yes,
at the time.
there was
and I think there were moments in that film where you're like, oh my goodness, this is actually going to be cool. Halfway through, I almost bought into the whole idea, and then every time something cool happened, something super campy and super cliche and super
dialogue,
stupid happened.
music, anything.
But you in the theater though, all the little girls, they were buying into it. They were liking it. So here's my recommendation for the film: don't go see it in theaters.
No.
But rather wait about 6 months. Go to the supermarket, get some popcorn, buy a couple of wine coolers because you know your girl likes them. Go over to the Red Box, rent it for $1. Invite your girl over, pop the popcorn, enjoy it there. Because she'll like it. There's no question about it. But you're not going to, so don't waste the money.
Yeah, I don't think this movie is going to be nearly as popular and as successful as The Hunger Games is. It just doesn't have that look and the star power behind it. But, it was a nice try. Nice try to those of you who made Divergent. But all in all, I think I'd give this movie a real bad. I'm sorry, Divergent.
Okay, now I'm going to say it's a real okay. Not so bad for me. I enjoyed parts of it, but it definitely could have been better.
Thanks for watching our review of Divergent. Let's throw it back to Jonathan.
Thanks, Ryan and Tony. Now I'm going to go ahead and review Muppets Most Wanted, and I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed this film. It was great in every aspect. It had a lot of awesome original songs that were very well produced. You got a little bit of funk in there, you got a little bit of disco, you got some good old show tunes. They were all really, really great. In fact, I downloaded the whole album or the whole soundtrack right away, right after the movie, so that was great. Lots of great cameos in this film as well. I mean, there were definitely over 10, definitely a lot more cameos in this film than in the first movie, which was something that a lot of people had a big issue with. So they made up for it. We had Lady Gaga, we had Usher, we had some new stars, we had some old Hollywood, we had everybody in this movie. It was fantastic. The story was great. It worked really well with Constantine and Kermit kind of switching places. It's kind of a Freaky Friday effect, but a lot better than that, don't worry. So yeah, it was a great movie overall. It had me cracking up the whole entire time. Tina Fey was great in it. I loved her in this movie. She had a lot of really funny moments, a lot of really touching moments too. And it picked up right where the first movie left off, and I feel like it complements the first movie really well. It actually includes cameos of some of the characters from the first movie as well in this movie. So I definitely recommend that you go out and see Muppets Most Wanted. I give it a real good. And now we're gonna go to Tony with a really awesome Star Wars update. Tony!
A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, a lot of cool news got released this week from Disney and Lucasfilm about our upcoming beloved Star Wars Episode 7. First things first, this is cool. Star Wars Episode 7 will be taking place 30 years after Return of the Jedi. I'm anxious to see how they use those characters now that we definitely know they're going to be older. Disney has recently partnered again with IMAX to release the whole slate of films they have for the next 2 years or so. First up, starting with Captain America and going all the way through Maleficent, Disney's Tomorrowland, and of course Star Wars Episode 7 in 2015. According to J.J. Abrams, they will not be using IMAX cameras for this film to shoot it, like directors such as Christopher Nolan has done in the past for Dark Knight. Like directors like Christopher Nolan have done in the past for The Dark Knight. J.J. Abrams does not want to use these cameras because they're heavy, they're bulky, they break down a lot, they're really loud when you're shooting. So he said X-nay to the IMAX cameras, which to me, I don't really care. But as long as it looks great on the big IMAX screen, I will definitely go see an IMAX when it comes out. The last bit of Star Wars news I have for you this week is really exciting. This year, May, 2 months from now, Star Wars Episode 7 will begin shooting. JJ will be there, a whole cast, so we actually know this movie is going to start filming and hopefully will be completed for its December 18th release date. So thank you for Star Wars news. May the Force be with you.
And with you. Okay, some exciting news. They just announced that Ghostbusters 3 will be starting production in 2015. Now, this is pretty cool because if you don't know who to call, now you will. The director of the previous two films, Ghostbusters 1 and 2, Ivan Reitman, will not be directing number 3, but he will be brought on as a producer. If you're looking for this to be a continuation of the first two films with the original characters, unfortunately not the case. Ghostbusters 3 will be more of a reboot. It will have some cameo appearances by the original characters, but it's said that their role will be very minimal in the scheme of things. Some exciting news for Marvel fans out there. Fox Studios has just announced some movies hitting us in 2017. Yes, of course, I'm talking about a new Wolverine film and Fantastic Four 2. But the first Fantastic Four reboot hasn't come out yet. So, there's that. Also exciting to mention that we will be having an untitled Marvel film coming out in 2018. Not sure what this is yet. Speculation is saying maybe a new X-Men film. We're not sure, but we're excited to find out. That wraps up this past week's news. Let's throw it back to Jonathan.
Hold on to your
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Real Talk. Be sure to subscribe to us on YouTube. Be sure to like our Facebook page. And as always, tune into Real Talk Radio, our audio podcast, for even more movie news and reviews. And until next week, it's been real.
The fire rises.
The D is up. Go ahead. Make my day.